Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. Tracy, are you hungover?
No, you said you were feeling tired. You were like, I'm tired. I need sunglasses.
Wait. Why are you doing a little voice when you say what happened? Why? Because
it's called imitation.
Wasn't it? Couldn't it have been legitimate?
I'm tired. I
Thank
need
you.
some sunglasses.
Yes. Say it with authority. Well, we've been. It's been.
Keeping strange hours.
Yeah, keeping strange hours. It's been kind of emotionally exhausting the last few days.
Yeah.
We had a fight, and we haven't had a fight in a long time. We haven't had a fight this year so far.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, like, there may be, like, disagreements.
Right.
You know, every once in a while where it's just like, you know, this is a marriage is a
Show them that there are no black eyes.
Oh, okay. No, there's no.
Okay. Folks, I just wanted to make that clear. Okay.
I didn't fall down any stairs.
Yeah, exactly.
After we had, you know, come to understanding,
Yes.
I won't even say resolution because
It's not resolved yet?
It is.
We're gonna fight more?
I think understanding is like even better because now we understand what happened.
Right.
You said, well, you know, we've been together for like over 26 years and this has never come up for us before.
This particular set of circumstances was sort of like a collision of things that have never collided before.
Yeah.
We have had issues in the past where I get very tense when it comes to how plans.
Well, you should call that anxious.
Okay, you want to call that? Okay, fine. We can call it anxious.
You have anxiety when you've committed to something.
I've committed to something.
And
now that commitment is going kerplooey.
Or like you feel like you're not going to be able to keep it.
Right. When people are counting on me.
Right.
And I am going to let them down.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole space is an uncomfortable space.
Very uncomfortable space for me.
We were driving to Twister's.
Yes.
And the engine light came on.
Yes.
It had come on previously. We had just replaced the air filter ourselves.
We did.
Which made you feel like you were all of a sudden a qualified mechanic.
I'm a man's man, folks.
It's like 4 screws. 4 screws. It came on again. Now, I have an anxiety issue, which is like, especially around cars.
Right.
I've had a lot of breakdowns in cars before. I have some PTSD, I guess, there.
Once Tracy loses confidence in a vehicle,
I'm done.
She's
like,
done.
I got to get rid of that thing.
Let's get it out of here.
Yeah.
I don't trust this car anymore. Get the fuck out of my life.
No, I need my anxiety not to be triggered every single time I put my butt in a car.
Right.
You know, because I'll have anxiety from the moment I leave to the moment I arrive. And then I'll have it once I arrive that we won't get home.
Right.
Because I hate being on the side of the road.
Right. So the light has come on. I come home. We even didn't go get pizza because you were like, no, we're driving home right now.
No, we're going home right now.
Right. Well, the next day I was supposed to make a trip to New York City. And I'm like, okay, I've got to go to the city in the morning. And Tracy was like, no. Like, no, you're not doing that.
I'm like, let's weigh the risk here. Risk reward. Let's count the cost on this because the engine light's on.
Right.
And to me, that basically means if you get in that car, you'll die.
Right. Exactly.
That's what it means to me.
So I was trying to come up with all these ways. Well, you know, maybe you could just drive me to the train station
and
or
I was
at the bus. Like, no.
Hell no, I'm not getting in that car.
I'm not driving you anywhere. I'm
that
not going
car
any.
Is booby trapped.
That's right. Problem is that I had
your
not
anxiety.
Been there. I had not been at the job that I do in New York for like 6 weeks. And I really felt like I needed to be there.
Right.
And people were depending on me.
Yes.
So it was kind of like, the immovable force against the unstoppable object.
My anxiety was high.
Right.
And very triggered that day.
And my anxiety was high too, because I was like, this has to happen.
In some situations, both of our anxieties are good things.
Very positive.
Are great things.
Very, 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 very positive.
Are things that make us very effective.
Yeah. Anxiety is not negative. It's just energy. Okay. You just turn it negative or you turn it positive.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what we did.
Our energy, we had definitely turned negative.
Very, very negative. Basically, we had a fight. We kind of talked about it, but before we went to bed, got up, still it wasn't worked out, talked about it more. And then I remembered something that I had watched, and it was literally about the unstoppable force against the immovable object. And it was like a riddle of the Sphinx thing. It was actually on like Justice League. It was like on a cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, you always put down, cartoons, but like the Super Sphinx was asking Superman the question.
Okay.
All right. And if he didn't answer it right, Lois Lane was going to be killed.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Lois Lane was going to be killed. And the answer to the question is you surrender.
Both have to surrender.
Both have to surrender. When the unstoppable force meets the unmovable object, you both have to surrender.
Right.
As reluctant as I am to say it, that is a form of anxiety, even though I've always said, that's my integrity. I'm you can count on me. I say something and it's going to happen. But, if your integrity becomes negative, if that energy turns negative, and you start attacking people.
What happens
if not good.
It can't happen? Because there's situations in life that are going to occur where you can't keep your word.
Right.
You can't.
Right. Or the circumstances.
For instance,
the circumstances have changed to the fact that
things need reevaluation.
We need a new plan. Right. Yeah. We need a new plan.
Yeah. And you can't just keep doing something
ineffective. You just can't keep slamming into the wall.
No, it's like the commitment you made to work on the Jester as second AD.
Right.
And then you had appendicitis.
Right.
Well, that's life.
Right.
You can't help that.
Right.
And also, it's a bit of weird ego when you think a thing can't exist without you. I've had to learn that in my life.
I don't think that we needed to go there.
No, I've had to learn that. I've had to learn that if I don't do it, it still gets done. It's just not done by me.
That's true. That's true.
Bring Helen Hunt back.
Right.
Bill's dead in real life.
Right.
Bring Helen Hunt back.
I was talking to a guy last night, and he suggested, why couldn't she have been like Helen Hunt's granddaughter?
Oh, well, it could have been, her granddaughter, sure. Her daughter.
And then when they go to the house, it's Helen Hunt!
Yeah.
There
she
you go.
She goes to her grandma's house. I mean, whatever happened that didn't happen sucked. And if it was Helen Hunt's manager or agent, or if it was the filmmakers or whoever decided that maybe Helen Hunt was too obscure right now, or I don't know, why ever Helen Hunt wasn't in that, they can go fuck themselves. I was reading an article where the director's complaint about Twister.
The director of Minari.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was saying that, it wasn't really showing damage.
Oh, he wanted to show some damage.
Yeah, he showed a lot of damage. He showed a lot of towns, smashed.
He did.
And I really liked that part. I thought, yes, that's like a level of filmmaking,
Well, there were you could see on the dirt and on, in a field, you could see what
its
the
path.
Twister had done. Yeah, its path, which was very cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool. Okay, so spoiler alert.
Well, okay, and I'm going to say,
we're spoiling this thing.
Do you want us to be able to talk about it or not?
That's true. Well, one of the things at the very beginning, all of a sudden, Sally Draper shows up.
Yeah, we're rewatching Mad Men right now.
Oh, maybe you shouldn't say that because that would lead to the commercial that you wanted to talk
No,
about.
I think we should talk about that commercial.
Okay. Off to the side. Does anybody just binge something?
Yes.
And the same commercial comes up every single time.
Okay, this is AMC Plus.
Oh,
Of course, AMC Plus has Mad Men. It may be streaming somewhere else, and if it is, I need to find it because God, I'm so tired of the freaking commercial.
yes.
What's it for?
Well, it's for like this like dog medication for like ticks and
It's a 3-way dog medication
oh god.
for ticks, heartworms, fleas.
So the idea of this commercial is this dog is running around and it's like one of those like, doggy playground things where it goes through the hose and, and all that. But it's running around like gigantic, monstrous flicks
Worms.
and ticks and
They're
worms.
giant.
And
It's so gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Simparica Trio.
Simparica Trio. And he runs into the mouth of this worm and
I think there's a large field.
there needs to be streaming needs healing tones commercials.
Yeah. Well,
Burger King. Wow, 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 wow. Have it your way. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, that would be amazing. Healing tone commercials.
yeah. But look, like whenever in the old days, it's just different because you're binging something.
Right.
You're watching the same show. So you don't have a variety of things coming in, right?
Mhm.
But also like, yeah, we're sitting here for like 5 hours watching this. If we're going to see something 50 times, we are going to need it to have a different vibe.
Don't make it unpleasant.
Yeah, don't have it like giant ticks and fleas and worms pooping dogs. Like, I don't know how that got through the boardroom in the first place.
Yeah. You were very excited to watch it. To me, it was very entertaining, but a pretty flawed film.
Well, regardless of any of my feelings about it, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I love disaster movies.
Right.
This is a disaster movie.
Right.
It gave you everything that it should give you.
Right.
As far as a disaster movie is concerned.
It was exciting. It was fun. Glenn Powell is charming as all get out. He is super, kind of smug, and they really went, okay, this is country music. It was like it was wall to wall country music, which I kind of wish they had like diversified.
Yeah, but the other Twister was basically like really weird, kind of crappy rock and roll music.
Except for when the Deep Purple song,
Yeah.
Child in Time comes on.
Yeah, true,
Dun,
true.
dun, 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 dun.
But okay, so right off the bat, you got a great scene.
Oh yeah.
Okay. In my mind, she should have been the granddaughter of Helen Hunt. Yes.
Right.
So, and then she basically is trying to get this crap up into a twister.
It felt very much like the opening of a horror movie.
Yeah.
It was just
And
like,
then, like,
set up, and then
She gets her friends killed.
yeah, just
So
bye Sally Draper.
This is important to note that they're setting up her character because she feels guilty.
Trauma.
She feels guilty that she put her friends in harm's way and they got killed.
Oh, so I read something that
Mhm.
they're online. There was a kiss at that airport at the end.
Sure there was.
And they cut it.
Sure. Probably because they felt like it was like non-feminist.
Oh, jeez. Look, kissing is feminist, folks.
Well-
Kissing is feminist.
Being free to do what you want is feminist.
Absolutely.
And, hey, have her grab him.
I was talking to this producer last night, and he said that he was talking about the kiss, and he was talking about Glenn Powell, and he and his husband, and he literally said, "Why didn't he take off his shirt?"
Well, they have him walk out of the house in a like white t-shirt.
Yeah, and it's like pouring rain.
It's pouring rain.
Right.
So we got a semi-wet t-shirt scene.
I mean, come on.
He's man candy.
He is.
So she's done this thing that endangered lives and killed people.
Right.
Now she's convinced to come back and chase tornadoes for a good cause, basically, with her friend.
Right.
She does. She freaks out and doesn't chase the first one.
Right.
And what happens is immediately, like, she's like, "Oh, I'm scared." And Glenn Powell's character, with his YouTube channel.
Yes.
They have a live streaming tornado YouTube channel.
Right.
Drives into the twister. They have the little screws that come out of the truck that like put it down into the ground.
Augers.
Oh, augers. Okay, great. Which is actually, like there's been the TIV.
Yeah.
And stuff in
there's
Storm
been like
Chasers.
documentaries about storm chasers.
Yeah,
and,
there was a
and they do
TV
some
show.
Stuff like
there
that.
was a
Yeah.
TV show with several seasons where the guy was trying to shoot something for IMAX.
It's cool. He was like driving in sort
like
of
this
like
crazy tank.
like a tank.
That's a great series because he like totally blows up his marriage.
But they didn't really.
They never shot it.
They didn't embrace any of that.
Okay, so Glenn Powell goes in there and he screws down and he's in the tornado and they shoot fireworks off into it.
Right.
And then he's like, for the YouTube channel, can fireworks go off in a twister? Yes, they can. And they have all these little cute sayings and they have merch that they sell.
And
Okay. Now, she's like looking at him like, ugh, what a hack. So later in the movie, she's like getting onto him because they're all there like after a tornado's hit.
Right.
And they're like, trying to help and stuff. And she's trying to find a dog and stuff. And she gets onto him for like, why are you here like selling all your merch? This is really taking advantage of these people.
Right.
And this girl on his team walks up with like a box lunch and a water.
Right.
And she's like, "Hey, you want some food?" And she's
I can't afford it.
She's like, yeah. "Oh, does she?"
Yeah, she says that.
And she's like, "No, it's free." And she's like, "This is what we do. This is where all of our merch money goes."
So this is the big reveal. Like, oh, actually, they are good people and they're like selling t-shirts and doing YouTube channels.
we could have gotten that information out a lot better. And it's never talked about again. It's like, well, that situation's resolved. Moving on.
Right.
Okay. So later, whenever they're like fighting and stuff, why did we not have a scene where she's busting his balls? Mm-hmm. Like, are you kidding me?
Right. That he's a very shallow person. He's a very narcissistic person. And she's like, you're disrespecting, these tornadoes.
You're disrespecting what they do.
What people are trying to do. Right,
you can't go and make a tornado a fun thing to do and shoot fireworks into it. You're going to get people killed.
Other people are going to follow along with you.
Yeah. Well, they make the comment that all these storm chasers are out there because of his channel.
Right.
And, the fact that she doesn't ever say, like, you're going to get, like, normal people who are watching your damn show. You're going to get them killed.
I think you made a really good point, which is that the film was about 5 rewrites away from being right.
Yeah, it was definitely 5 away. And then she could say, something about, selling merch and how, this is not, you can't, basically she would be screaming at herself.
Right.
Her past self who got her friends killed.
Right.
She would be taking that out on him. And he could say, "Look, lady, this is what I think I can do. I'm trying to get them money."
This is something that happens as a writer. Okay. You create a plot idea, a point, and that creates a problem.
Yes.
Okay. You can't not solve that problem. You can't just, I want this idea in there. we're not worried about the problem.
Well,
and it felt like that happened over
it
and
was
over
like-
and over again in that film.
It was like feedback on that script would be, hey, like he's chasing these tornadoes and playing around with them and being very irreverent and not giving them any respect. And then he's selling merchandise and promoting himself. That kind of makes him come off as a bad guy.
Right.
And he's supposed to be our hero.
Right.
So what? And then the writer's like, what can I do? Okay. All the merch money goes to charity, basically.
Right.
Done.
But that doesn't solve the problem.
Solved.
That doesn't solve the problem.
No, that doesn't.
Which
solve
is the
anything.
way that he is perceived.
Why the hell did they kill off my girl?
Sally Draper?
Yeah, Sally
Yeah.
Draper. You know, she's always going to be Sally Draper. And then she was Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah. Oh,
She's
that
great
was
in Sabrina.
such a great show. Yeah, that remake of that. Boy, did they do something different with that. My God. She's great. I think she would have been a better choice.
She would have. But there was still like a 10-year age gap between the lead woman and the lead guy.
It
wasn't
Glenn
believable.
Powell looked like her dad.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
And like
I don't know if there actually is a gap. It's just a vibe.
No, there is.
Oh, there is.
There's a 10-year
Oh, yeah.
gap.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and the difference between like 25 and 35 is significant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. In the dialogue and the storyline, there was really nothing flirty.
Yeah.
Glenn had to freaking sell that whole concept based on like eye contact.
Yeah, just kind of looking out at her as she was
And
looking
just like,
at storms.
whoa, she's so
wow,
incredible.
She's my woman. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it was.
but
there was no, there was no banter. There was no
why couldn't,
playfulness.
okay, his
There was
little,
nothing.
his
Yeah.
little crazy friend that was always shooting the YouTubes.
Right.
Why didn't he
Boone.
come up? Boone. How come we know his name and we don't know?
I don't know. That's true. Boone, I remember.
So Boone should have come up to Glenn Powell and been like, am I wrong here, or is she pretty much the perfect woman?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
as guys will do with other guys.
Yeah, like, but it could be one of
That's
those,
true.
like, it seems like
There
you
was
might be
never-
interested.
There was never any sort of scene between him and his crew, his
No.
little Manson family that was
No.
following along with him.
No.
Where they were like friends.
No.
They were just there.
No. I don't know. It felt like this is what happens when you like put something through AI. It's like all of the actual humanity
Right.
gets sucked out.
Well, you want to talk about getting sucked out. Every trailer that we saw for
Was
Twisters
awful.
was trash.
She's going to, play hero in the end,
Okay.
right? She goes from completely traumatized. She's working as a meteorologist. Okay.
Right.
Because like evidently that's where, anybody with any creativity or like passion goes to die. Thanks a lot. It's a whole freaking science that you're just kind of like making look like a joke. And then we find out like Glenn Powell's highly educated
Yes.
later.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, wow, you got a brilliant idea. Let's go make it happen. Oh, God. Like, things can't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started about the fact that she's ignoring her mom's calls.
Yes.
Who
seemed really miscast to me.
She was totally miscast.
Yeah, she's like this.
She's got this mouth.
She's like this Brooklyn. She's always plays like this New York Brooklyn type, and she's like this farmer. I mean,
they just like put her
doesn't-
in like pearly button shirts to sell it.
Yeah, it really didn't work.
No, but like,
yeah.
why are you taking this out on your mom? Why is she not in therapy? Like, why is it your mom's problem and you're ignoring your mom? And then all of a sudden you're in town and you go see your mom. And it's like, we don't get any kind of conversation of reconciliation, nothing.
Right.
You've just been ignoring her because you're an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a moment where Glenn Powell, and God bless the guy, he worked really hard to try to cultivate something in physicality.
Right.
To sell the idea that he was interested in this woman.
Well, we just saw him in the movie Hitman, And he was great in that movie.
Yeah,
and
he's charming.
He really showed that he has chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's this moment that happens whenever he's like saying goodbye to her mom or talking to her mom, and he sells it in this way where you feel he wants to impress the mom.
Right.
In a way that a guy would want to impress a mom if he was interested in the daughter.
Right.
And he just sells that with his body.
Right.
He has no fucking dialogue to
Right.
do any of this with.
And then there was like right at the end, it really kind of bothered me, where they had Paul Scheer, the comedian, show up as this like airport security guard.
Why couldn't Sean Whalen have shown up?
Oh, that would have been fantastic. That would have been perfect. But Paul Scheer all of a sudden showing up in the middle of, at the very end of this movie.
Really weird.
For a really one joke.
And the whole thing that Javi brings her there to do is to triangulate the position of a
Right.
tornado. But we
Yeah.
find out it's for a nefarious purpose.
Right.
But like, what are we doing with that information? What good is that information?
Why is it nefarious? Like, what is it that they're finding out that is nefarious? They did not cover that either.
Well, I mean, they're just chasing tornadoes to be there when everything's damaged and buy stuff up. And the guy who's playing Superman, he's the guy who's like on the Javi's team,
Yeah,
who's he's really hip about like, hey, let's do this for the money and like give this
Right.
evil dude, like let him come through and buy all these properties after they've been completely damaged.
Right.
And he's just like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's
Yeah.
not about, like, who cares about people? I mean, just
I don't think he said that, but yeah.
basically,
that was the vibe. Yeah.
basically, if you had typed that into ChatGPT, it
Yeah.
would have given you the guy's dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, go see it for some tornadoes, folks.
I mean, the actiony stuff was good.
Yeah, it was great fun.
This movie, the script just got pooped out, and everybody was like, "Yeah, good enough." I mean, it cost a lot of money. How
Yeah.
come at no level did like Daisy, whatever her name is, did she not say, guys, like, what? How am I supposed to like make this character like a believable human? Glenn Powell managed it, even with the material he was given.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Yeah. I would
And
agree.
maybe that makes her a worse actor.
Maybe.
Interior, Ian Solange's office, space station. Ian Solange's office has a huge curved window and a vista view of Earth. Miss Smalls knocks on the door and enters.
Ian, this is your first time off planet. What do you think?
Miss Smalls, it's overwhelming, sir.
Ian, it feels like home.
Miss Smalls, I have the destinations you asked for.
Go ahead, please.
Hugh, Cygni B. Bren, Kepler 69C. Matthew, Kelt 9B. Brahm, Hat P 11B.
Miss Malls, forgive me, but you are reading these destinations off like items from a takeout menu.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's not your fault. Science lost the awe of creation. Kepler this, Kepler that. It's like classical music.
Sir?
Someone will happen across the most beautiful thing they have ever heard, and it will be called the Bach Chaconne from Partition number 2 in D minor for solo violin. Wouldn't it be easier if it had an actual name?
I'm not sure I know.
Trust me, you do. Names matter. Kepler 69c is apparently 3 times larger than the Earth. It could be 3 times more beautiful. It could sustain 3 times more life. It just needs a really good name. Any suggestions?
That's a lot of pressure, sir. Should I continue?
Please.
Emmeline Ride is assigned to Kepler 237 and it's scheduled to leave.
I want Emmeline for Kepler 186f.
Oh, I'll make that change.
No one has ever seen anything like its signal. I feel like she's our best hope of success.
She seems very unique.
Singular. Always seek singularity, Miss Smalls.
Yes, sir.
Interior, Emmeline's room on the shuttle. She puts on her rebreather and biopurity suit and enters the hallway.
Interior space station. Hallway. The hallways are deserted and dim. She heads in the direction of the cafeteria. There's a sign with an arrow that points to the observation deck in the red section. She follows it. She starts to see more people in this area. Civilians. They whisper to each other excitedly as she passes, like she's a rock star on vacation, as an originaut. She turns a corner, and there in front of her is a glass wall with a dozen or so souls looking at Earth. Among them are 2 of her fellow originauts in their biosuits.
The Earth is rising, and when the event is over, everyone leaves except Emmeline. She walks over to the glass and touches it. She closes her eyes and starts to get a little dizzy. She sways from side to side to get her balance. The air she's breathing seems hot and rancid. She starts choking. She falls to the ground. She's passing out, but she reaches into her pocket right before everything goes black.
Yeah, we were on a Zoom with some people on the film on Sky Valley, and the creative producer was like, yeah, I really loved Love Lies Bleeding, and some of the visuals were super cool.
Well, it was shot in New Mexico.
Kristen Stewart and
Yes.
Ed Harris.
And Mikhail
Dave
Baryshnikov's daughter.
Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Baryshnikov, yes. His daughter. And her last name is Baryshnikov, and I don't know. She was on Dickinson, and she was on some other stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if she was already like that. I don't know what
She's like she plays like a female bodybuilder, but she was amazing and beautiful, and Kristen Stewart, and it was a very queer story. And it's by Rose Glass, who she did Saint Maud.
In that kind of tradition of like Raw, in the tradition of like Titan.
Right.
Saint Maud. All of these kind of have that vibe of being like female fantasy.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, let's say Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, it's like it's like surreal. They're all kind of sexual in a way. There was something really interesting about the film, the way it was shot, that it almost felt like some of the shots, they felt like toys moving.
Yeah, they really did some beautiful perspective work. And like whenever she has her first kind of like violent scene, she's standing there over top of the victim and she looks like a freaking giant.
Yes.
In the room.
Right.
The scuttlebutt that I've heard was that
the last 5 minutes of the movie
they thought were
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, like
I don't.
Some people were like, "Oh, that ruined the movie." I was like, "No, I mean
if you're a woman, that did not ruin the movie."
The whole film has a surreal edge to it, and it's like I can't necessarily tell what was really happening and what wasn't. It was almost like Mandy in that way.
There's a whole segment of society that finds large women.
Right.
Like, it's called giantess porn.
Giantess porn.
They
yes.
find giantessing very sexy.
I thought it was a very, very cool movie. It was explicit without being graphic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really interesting too. Because, you're being incredibly sexually explicit with, some of these queer scenes.
I mean, the dialogue that's associated with sex scenes is what makes it more explicit.
Yes. Like what Kristen
they're
Stewart
actually
was
talking
saying to her and things like that.
And if she was like injecting steroids like that, I mean, like it makes certain aspects of the female anatomy larger.
You were hoping.
And I thought they might address that.
Yeah, but no, they didn't.
But they didn't.
They didn't do that. Yeah.
I mean, like, I think that would have been really cool. It was pretty. Ed Harris was interesting.
He was. Very understated. He looked crazy. He looked like a David Lynch character.
Yeah, he really did.
Like from like Wild at Heart or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. He did.
But his character was incredibly understated, and you kind of believed that he cared about his family, that he loved his family, that he was trying his best as he was being a unbelievably horrible person.
I'm not crazy about the way that domestic violence is being portrayed in films right now.
Yeah, but see, Kristen Stewart, though, she says, "Oh, I get it. You're a moron."
But, like, it's just tough to make a character that pathetic.
Yeah.
And not explain why that's happening.
Right.
To put that character in a position where she seems so moronic.
Right.
And not give her any ability to explain or justify to the audience
Right.
I think that's tough.
I think as writers, you always have to consider that even if a character does something incredibly unlikable, there always has to be a reason that makes sense. Even if you disagree with that reason, as an audience member, you have to go, well, this
believe
is what
that.
they believe.
Yeah, this is what we're getting. Yeah, and like Kurt Vonnegut famously said, you know, every character has to want something, even if it's a glass of water.
Right.
And especially when you're dealing with domestic violence, I just feel like it's not fair that we don't know what her character wants.
Right.
Because it seems like she just wants to get beat.
Right. I mean, I would say she wants to be married, or she wants him. She wants him, but why does she want him? Like, what is it that
we
he
don't know.
brings?
We don't know.
Maybe you could have had a scene where she's just so afraid of being alone.
Well, their mother left them.
Which they never really covered, like what actually happened.
She could have been killed.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Well, that was the theory. Yeah.
But like, has this caused a fear of abandonment? You know? I mean, there just wasn't, I just feel like it's short shrifting the whole idea of domestic violence. Just don't include it if you can't treat it respectfully. Because it's a very complex and difficult issue.
That's right.
It's very much related to what that person's worth is to themselves, their own self-worth.
It's about respect. And you also should not shoot fireworks into a tornado.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow.